And off to church he goes, a newborn seeking divine consent to lick the blood from the soft and pointy crown.
Who are you? Make yourself known.
Newborn, you reek of guilt and pointless compassion. Shed your skin, forget your old weaker self.
What do you want from me?
Ascalon does not approve of lone wolves who bring unwanted eyes to our pastures.
So your name is Ascalon?
Ascalon's will is vampire law. Learn them, abide by them, or I shall return as your judge and jury.
These immortals try my patience with their plans and unsolicited counsel. I can't believe I'm doing this.
Ain't safe here for a gentleman. Get them weapons. Right, vermin! What is this? This one!
Good evening, Doctor.
Goodbye,
have this thirst for blood. I can't believe I'm doing this. I have this thirst for blood.
Good evening.
You look ill, Miss Wanderer. I wonder if your concoction will do the trick.
I have no doubt it will. But I'm not against a second opinion, Dr. Reed.
Well, there you have it. Take this remedy, but be discreet. It may damage your business otherwise.
Thank you.
I'd like to see... Mr.
Evening.
Have you heard anything about Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
Not really.
A man such as yourself, knee-deep in the muck of Whitechapel, must know more. Speak now.
Heard it closed after the owners died. Refugees don't want to come to Whitechapel no more. Scared, I hear.
You sound disappointed.
As long as she was there at the dispensary, it attracted more immigrants and kept my place full. Such a shame.
Why am I not convinced?
Maybe it's because you lack faith. Being a skeptic must be useful for a man of science.
Goodbye, Mr. Bates.
Fancy buying something, sir?
You never look... Right then.
Imprisoned by your daily routine. On it.
Good evening.
It's Father Whittaker, my...
I have heard enough for tonight.
You look so pale,
I must review.
Yes? What is it that you want?
I'm sorry to disturb you at such a late hour.
No worries, my son. I'm still quite awake, having just returned from a funeral.
Yes, I know. I've forgotten what I wanted. I don't know.
May I help you, child? You seem somewhat perturbed.
I haven't the strength to cross the threshold. I wish to pray, to cleanse my soul.
The church is shut by order of the bishop. But I'm still the vicar of St. Mary's, if that is any use to you, my son.
You seem to me a good soul, Vicar. But this is a personal matter.
There are no secrets from God, my son. If your heart needs comfort, consider me your chaplain. for I can be as silent as stone.
I've words for one departed. They're not for living ears to hear.
Your eyes burn with rage, yet I see the pain that lies beyond. I am here to lighten the burden of all God's creatures. Whatever you tell me is between us and the Lord.
Very well, priest. As you seem quite adamant.
Open your heart, my son. Tell me what burdens you. With whom do you wish to speak?
Just know, I cared for her.
You seem so troubled by the loss of this girl. What happened to her?
She has been laid to rest. That's all you need to know.
I see. And how are you feeling, my son?
I wish I could forget all this.
I have a final question for you, my son. This is of the utmost importance.
Ask your question, Vicar.
How can this poor soul hear you when you can't even hear yourself and admit your role in this tragedy?
I'm so sorry, Mary. I promise to find who is responsible for all this. I'll put an end to this horror.
You have been heard, my son, and your burden will lighten if your words are sincere. Go in peace now, and live your life in the way she would have wanted.
Whatever happened on this dock is between my sister and I. It does not concern God at all. is despicable. I can't believe I'm doing this. I have this thirst for blood.
Remorse and pain are precious when binding you to the earth. You. I remember you. Fear be gone. I would harm no child of my making.
This is your doing. You made me this creature. What are you?
I am the land. You are our champion.
You selected me, chose me.
As shall my children yet to come.
What is it you seek?
This age is sickly. An ancient poison, an older rage, brewed in a cauldron newly forged.
This has something to do with the epidemic.
Seek truth, my champion. Defeat the serpent of knowing with iron spur.
I've had enough of others making decisions for me, pretending to know how I should feel or behave. So the vampire who made me is some sort of disembodied entity? Or was he just projecting this vision in my mind? Maybe Edgar can help me with this one.
Good evening, Dr. Tippett.
Dr. Reed, any...
Do you need any medical assistance yourself, Doctor?
Yes, indeed. But don't worry, I am perfectly...
I have no doubt about it, but you are still ill all the same.
I appreciate your concern, Dr. Reed. To be honest, I just did not take the time to diagnose myself.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett. Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor.
I'd like...
Wise choice, Doctor.
Jonathan, my sincere condolences for your loss.
Your kindness is much appreciated, my lady.
Is there anything you require?
I spied my mother at the funeral. Have you ever revealed yourself to a member of your family?
No, Jonathan. And I'd advise you even from thinking about it.
But what if I was close to someone and wished to tell them the truth?
Fear, loathing, disgust. And then they will plead to be turned. They will see it as salvation. Then there's the risk of gaining the attention of vampire hunters.
Are we then condemned to lie to those we love?
We are creatures of deception, my friend. But this is more for their sake than ours.
Are we condemned to attend the funerals of all we love?
Dying is the final act of life, Jonathan. Present company excluded. Accept it.
I don't know what to expect. Am I cursed to an eternity of solitude?
With time, we Ekon tend to go into isolation. If we survive long enough, that is.
As a practitioner of the medical sciences, I'm prepared for the death of loved ones. But mourning in the shadows, deprived of sharing one's grief.
We are no longer a part of the circle of life and death. We are undead, my friend, and so we are outcasts.
Goodbye, my lady. Until we meet again.
If there's anything I can do...
Goodbye, my... Good evening, Nurse Brent.
Good evening, Doctor.
What can you tell me about the recent events in the hospital?
That Mr. Hampton killed Miss Jones in her room, then ran away.
And did you see all this?
No. I was working by the tents when it all happened. I only entered the room when they asked me to clean up the blood.
Where is Miss Jones's body?
I don't know. I'd imagine the morgue. It all happened so quickly.
Did you see Sean Hampton leave the hospital?
I think I saw a silhouette exiting the hospital gates after the shouting started. At first I thought it was someone who was just scared, but... well, maybe it was him.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Here again.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm.
Do you require...
My condition cannot be understood by you, mortal.
Well, until the day science finally admits failure, please accept this little contribution.
Thank you, Doctor. Your efforts are admirable.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the...
Time has lost its effect on me, but the suffering continues.
Good evening, Nat.
Good evening, Doc.
Goodbye, Nat. Good evening.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed.
Do you need my medical attention?
I would have been confused if anyone other than you had asked that question, Dr. Reed.
There is no shame in helping each other.
Many doctors I have known are too cynical to think that way.
Goodbye, Doc.
God protect us. You've got a leech in the hospital.
Yes, my hospital. My mission is to heal while you go about warring.
You've set the table for a snake. I wonder why there's venom in your food.
I'm growing tired of your song. You're a woodsman, McCullum, not a doctor. Return to your hunt.
Remember, I've a good nose for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile. You can't hide from the god.
Leave him, Jonathan. This is sacred ground. Neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned. By the sacred stole, this is very bad news. Bad news indeed.
What happened?
The hospital has been attacked. We have injured patients, at least one dead and several missing. This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
We cannot have the people lose faith in this institution. This hospital is their only hope.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned a dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan. She was Miss Harriet Jones. I found her room like a slaughterhouse. Blood everywhere. The duty nurse is taking care of the mess.
Very well. I'll help you.
I know this place means something to you. I have noticed how you suppress your appetite when around the staff and patients.
You need to know you can trust me, Edgar.
I do, dear fellow, I do.
Please then, tell me.
Sean Hampton, the man we thought we'd saved at the docks. It seems he was infected after all.
So Hampton became more beast than man.
Exactly. And now Guard of Prewen suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
Do you really believe they would come for us here? In such a public venue?
McCullum is a fanatic. The Guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well. Since I brought Mr. Hampton here, I will put an end to this.
Sean Hampton lives and breathes for the well-being of his flock. There's no other place he would go but the docks.
Hey, Doc.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
All I know is I ain't letting anyone rip my throat out in my sleep. I found myself a nice blade, Doc. I'm ready.
I'll leave you for now, Mr. Cox. It seems the Priwen are redoubling their patrols in the district. I must be more careful.
Easy does it, boys.
Oh, Jonathan, I cannot believe my eyes. Poor woman, butchered by some savage scowl.
Yes, and I'm afraid I'm at least partially responsible. The man, the Scal, I brought him here.
Jonathan, how could you say such a thing?
Forgive me if I feel despondent, for there seems to be no end to the suffering and death that surrounds us.
I'm always here for you, Jonathan.
What do you know of Ascalon? I was threatened by a creature, a vampire in Whitechapel, stating I had to obey the law of conduct.
What more can you tell me about him?
He was bigger than a man. Huge, in fact. He seemed to radiate violence. I thought he was going to tear me apart. Then he vanished.
Fergal, the executioner of Ascalon. You were fortunate he was not after you, but rather out doing his master's bidding.
What is Ascalon?
The Ascalon Club are the most powerful vampires in Britain and exert tremendous influence. Take my advice and stay well away.
I have experienced a certain difficulty when faced with holy symbols or trying to enter religious buildings. Have you?
Now that's quite a question. I don't know why, but yes, it has happened to me.
Is this a sign? A hand of God in action? Are we repellent unto heaven?
I don't have the answers, Jonathan. But I believe superstition and magic is just fact awaiting the lens of science.
Aren't you frightened?
Very little scares me, my dear. To be compelled to avoid symbols of faith does not concern me.
Have you embraced this woman, like the other patient, this Mr. Renfield?
Her name was Amelia. And no, I did not kill her. I vowed a very long time ago that I would never take another life, unless they ask.
Is there sufficient vitality in the blood of the sick and dying patients?
Yes, Jonathan. The hunger gnaws at me every waking hour. Frankly, I'm starving.
Temptation surrounds us. Rich, vital. How can you resist?
Over the years, any pleasure I once gleaned from feeding is long gone. I drink for sustenance. And though I still thirst for more, I restrain myself.
Thank you, my lady. I hope to see you again soon.
Pembroke is so lucky to have Dr. Reed, you know. I met him in New York.
Step away, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Who the fuck are you? Don't you see I'm busy here?
Dr. Jonathan Reed, that's who I am. And who are you?
Ah, some fancy gentleman we've got here. Clear off. We don't want strangers on our streets.
So you won't tell me your name, then?
The name is Booth Digby. Maybe I'll ask my boys to break one or two of your bones, just so you remember it.
Are you some kind of vigilante patrolling these streets at night?
Something like that, but the police aren't in charge here. We are, see?
So you're a concerned criminal, is that it?
Using funny jokes about me and my boys, are you? Fuck. You must have some balls.
I saw many men like you during the war, Mr. Digby. Greedy little cockroaches who feed on despair.
I could kill you for saying that. But, nah. You've been a soldier. I can respect that.
So, tell me about your gang, then.
What? Have you got a death wish? You really want me to answer that?
Well, yes. You seem so proud of your status. Why not tell me who you're working for?
Oi! I'm the boss, all right? The Wet Boot Boys work for me. All of them. Situation round here is better than other districts because of us. Because of me.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
Things ain't that bad, thanks to us. We give people what they need, and we control this borough.
Well, you're not doing a very good job. People are still dying here, like everywhere else.
Yeah, well, we can't be everywhere all the time. And Edwina says if we can find more guns, we could be more efficient.
More efficient? Really? You should probably tell Edwina that guns are useless against diseases and infections.
Incredible. You know what? You're lucky she can't hear you right now. She's more smart than patient. My sweet queen of the docks.
I know you're looking for an honest job, Booth. You're tired of this criminal life, aren't you?
It's just an idea. Edwina loves to run things so much. You can never really leave the gang. Wet boys for life, you know.
Do you know where I can find Sean Hampton? I need to talk to him.
The sad saint. Why on earth do you want to talk to him?
He was one of my patients at the Pembroke Hospital.
Oh, yeah. I heard the poor bastard had been abducted by some cunt. You better ask Tom Watts. He knows Sean Hampton well.
Goodbye. Good evening, miss. I am Dr. Reed. May I ask you a few questions?
Who are you? What do you want?
As I just told you, I'm a doctor. From the Pembroke Hospital, actually.
The Pembroke Hospital, you say? I ain't paying any bill left by Clay.
I'm not here to collect payment, Miss...
Miss Edwina Cox. So what do you want then? Fancy buying something from me, maybe?
You still use your husband's name, Edwina. Why is that?
Why shouldn't I? He may be a bloody bastard, but I'm still his wife and his name means something round here.
You never paid him a visit at the Pembroke Hospital, did you?
And I don't intend to. In Clay's case, I'm not against a medical mistake or a little help from the Spanish flu.
What can you tell me about your work?
I'm a businesswoman. I buy and sell things, and I send my wet boot boys after anyone who don't play nice with me.
Gang member and shopkeeper. Can't be easy running double shifts.
If you're interested, I may find use of a doctor who can freely walk across the city, you know.
You're quite blunt, aren't you?
I like people who know what they want and say what they think. This is a time of great opportunity for those ready to embrace their destiny.
I'm not interested in a career in the criminal underworld, Miss Cox.
Fair enough. Stay away from us then, if you don't want to get hurt or worse.
Since my return from the war, I don't feel that concerned by threats, knives, or even bullets, if you must know.
That's exactly what that stupid trade unionist claimed after he attacked one of us. Booth and I reminded him a bullet beats words every time.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
You can't trust anyone around here. As soon as you lower your guard, you can be sure some arsehole will take advantage of you.
Really? Don't you think that's a little bit excessive?
Bastards, all of them. This region only responds to violence and threats.
You sound like you're thinking of somebody in particular.
Take the gravediggers of Southwark. They must pay me every week, but it looks like they forgot who gave them permission to steal from the dead.
Looting corpses in a mass grave. That is a new low.
Whatever. Hey, since you're a doctor and all, maybe you can access that forbidden area and remind those bastards what they owe.
Booth Digby looks at you with love-struck eyes. Tell me, Edwina, is the feeling mutual?
You have no idea how refreshing it can be for a woman to receive all the pleasure she needs. For once.
I'll take your word for it.
What is it, Doctor? A woman's not supposed to talk about these things.
Behind all your crude words and your attitude, I sense romance and a soft heart, Miss Cox.
Romance? I have no time for such rubbish. I use Booth like I use everyone else.
Tell me about the man you and Booth killed, Edwina.
The bastard killed one of us and received retribution. There's nothing else to say.
What happened exactly?
I don't know, and I don't care. One of ours was killed by that communist bastard, but he didn't brag for long.
So you have no idea what really happened, but you executed him anyway.
No one messes with the Wet Boot Boys, Doctor. This is our territory, and this is our law.
And your conscience is clear. You kill without hesitation.
Violence is an efficient tool, Dr. Reed, when used properly.
So you decide who lives and who dies, just like that.
Yes, Doctor. Just like that. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm saying it's my way of dealing with troublemakers.
Can I see what you have?
As long as you have money.
Good evening.
Hello again.
I'm looking for Mr. Sean Hampton. Do you know where I could find him?
The sad saint? I heard he was mugged or something.
Yes, he was. But he left hospital recently.
You don't say. Well, I suppose it's good news for the homeless and the useless. Ask them, they must know something.
Goodbye, miss.
Someone's playing a right. Strange guy.
The two dog's fault, they say. Then the gangs, the epidemics, everyone's throwing the blame.
Mark my words, miss. These murders are the work of a vampire.
Good evening, sir.
Whatever.
Don't you recognize me? We met a few nights ago.
Don't take it personally. I spent a lot of energy forgetting what I did the night before.
Yes, you had definitely drunk too much then as well. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
I'm Dyson Delaney. I'll try to remember you. This time.
What's it look like?
It's an old story.
Inebriation aside,
Yes.
take this then. And perhaps you could...
Hey, Doc, you don't really want me to stop the only remedy I...
Murders by night.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Delaney?
I drink.
He's the
I drink in the morning.
I hunt, milady.
Why do you drink so much?
Maybe it's because I prefer dying slowly. Death can be so abrupt. Personally, I like to see mine coming at my own pace.
You sound very sad, sir.
That's because I am.
Don't you work?
I'd love to, but I don't have the time. Didn't I...
Is there anything in particular that you like about this part of town? Except for the cheap drinks, I mean.
How dare you say such a thing?
No reason at all to rejoice, then. Life is hopeless and then we die, is that it?
Let me tell you a story.
All right. Go on.
A few years ago, when I believed a resolute man could change things around here for good, a tragedy occurred nearby.
What kind of tragedy?
It was a bomb.
You lost people you loved.
I've lost everything. But you know what?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. If you ever find the place, just...
Is there anything in...
How dare you say such a thing?
No reason at all to rejoice, then. Life...
Let me tell you a story.
Another time. Is there anything...
How dare you...
Why are you so...
Cynicism is the polite way to express despair, Doc.
Surely you must have had dreams.
Sure. I wanted things to change. To really change. And to change for good. The bigger the dream, the harder the fall.
Sounds like you were an idealist.
No, sir. I was an anarchist and I believed that exclusive property is a robbery in nature. I wanted a new world to rise from the ashes, Dr. Reed.
Do you really think the world is that bad?
No, I believe we all can choose to make it better. But most of us are too weak, too corrupt and too guilty. I failed.
I want to know more about your past.
I'm still an anarchist, Doctor. Make no mistake. I just reject violence as a tool to change the world, unlike my comrades.
Do you still see your comrades, then? Even if you don't agree with their methods anymore, I mean.
No. I hope they'll come to share my point of view one day. I'll raise my glass to that splendid idea.
Do you believe in a bloodless revolution, then?
I do not believe in much anymore, Doctor. But I'll admit I like your idea of peaceful change. I like it a lot.
I'm looking for Mr. Sean Hampton. Do you know where I could find him?
I really don't know. I heard he'd been abducted, and I don't know if he's back.
Who could tell me then?
About the sad saint. I'll try asking Tom what's about him.
Goodbye, Mr. Dib.
Not a drop of blood left in his body. This is the work of a vampire.
Good evening, sir. Have you witnessed any suspicious activity or strange events recently?
And what do you define as a strange event? More to the point, who are you?
My name is Ichabod Throgmorton, vampire hunter extraordinaire and warden of the East End.
A vampire hunter? Really?
I know what you're thinking. I'm just another lunatic howling at the moon, but I'm not. The bloodsuckers exist, and they're close.
Mr. Throgmorton, I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'd like to hear more about these vampires you're hunting.
A man of science? Well, I'll be glad to enlighten you.
Have you heard of the Guard of Priwen?
Of course. They're dedicated hunters. A little militant for my taste, but they do let anyone join.
Were you ever tempted to join the Guard yourself?
I did think about it, but I'm more of a silent hunter. They're more of a sanitary militia.
So you hunt alone? That sounds risky.
Vampires are just like every other predator. They hunt when they're hungry and follow certain patterns. It's just a matter of observation and patience.
So, how exactly are you protecting these people? I'm curious.
I patrol late at night, investigating anything unusual. I try and encourage people to stay indoors, but people are careless.
How do you identify a vampire?
It's simple, really. They can't stand daylight. They're afraid of garlic and holy symbols. They also cannot enter a house without being invited.
Have you ever killed one of these creatures? Yourself, I mean.
Of course I have. What kind of question is that? It's a dirty business, believe me.
Can I help in any way?
Actually, yes. I plan to put up posters to alert the population to the vampire threat.
Are you asking me to paste posters about vampires around the docks?
If you wouldn't mind. If you did that, then I can focus on my patrols.
What can you tell me about this neighborhood?
Did you hear about what happened to Jack Gillingham? Oh boy. It's a shame I wasn't around to protect him.
It's impossible to protect everyone. The violence seems endemic in this part of town.
But it's my duty. I am convinced Jack Gillingham was killed by a vampire. These evil rodents are spreading like a plague.
Have you?
Of course.
I'm looking for Sean Hampton. Can you help me, Mr. Throgmorton?
The sad saint? He should be at his night asylum at this hour. But I cannot tell you how to find it, sorry.
Really? Why is that?
It's nothing personal, Doctor. I'm sure your intentions are good, but people who sleep there, they have plenty of reasons to hide.
Maybe at least you can tell me who could help me find him.
Tell you what, go and chat with Tom Watts. He's a bartender and good judge of character. If he talks to you, then it's fine by me.
I could make you tell me, but I respect your refusal. You really believe Sean is a saint, don't you?
All I will say is this. Gossip has it that when he was a child, he was molested. By a priest of all people. Funny thing is, though, it only strengthened his faith.
Goodbye, and good hunting, Mr. Throgmorton.
now everything seems under control, more or less.
Don't forget to keep an eye out for this guard of something, sweet. My guess is they're recruiting for some vengeance.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
Cursed or not, he's just another lost orphan.
Evening, miss.
Well, I never. That's a first. Customers who make that much mess rarely come back. Never mind in fancy togs.
I'm much more myself than when we first met. By the way, I'm Jonathan, Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Welcome back to the Turquoise Turtle then, Doctor. I'm Sabrina Cavendish. How can I help you?
Excuse my curiosity, but where exactly are you from, Miss Cavendish?
Something bothering you? What, my name? Or my complexion?
Believe me, I never judge someone on their place of birth or the color of their skin.
If that's true, you'd be one of the few not to make fun of me. Just you, Tom, Dyson, Miss Fishburne, and of course Mr. Hampton.
I'm sorry if I worried you. I was just curious to find out if you know this part of town well.
Nosy. My dad was a sailor from Bombay, and my mum was a maid born up in Glasgow. They got married in London. And here I am.
What can you tell me about this area?
People don't appreciate that line of questioning round here. You best be more careful with what you say, sir.
You look concerned, Miss Cavendish.
This is a bad borough. Most people I know are afraid. Most locals will rob you blind, or worse. You best mind your step.
If you're uncertain about your safety here, the docks might not be the right place for you.
I got responsibilities. And it's not like I got the money to move anywhere else anyway.
This place seems, how shall I put it, very colorful. I'm sure it has plenty of stories to tell.
We get people of all sorts here. It's that rare place in the docks where you can have a drink without being murdered. At least it's not happened yet.
So this bar is neutral territory then?
Yeah. Tom's convinced this is something the locals need. No one ever draws a weapon here. That's one of the reasons I accepted the job.
Your boss must be quite the negotiator to force such an agreement.
Yeah. Tom's a great bloke. Mr. Hampton, who runs the night asylum, he's the only other man that's able to keep peace around here.
Miss Cavendish, would you be willing to help me locate Sean Hampton?
You better ask Tom, sir.
Why not answer me directly?
We respect the privacy of our customers here, sir. Only Tom can decide who to speak to and what he'll say to them.
Goodbye, Miss Cavendish. Good evening, Tom.
Good evening, sir. How are you tonight? Back to the docks, are we?
You remember me then?
Of course I do. You're that man who seemed so lost when he entered my bar a few nights ago.
Thank you for your hospitality. I'm Jonathan Reed, by the way.
I'm still Tom Watts. Welcome back, Doctor.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
It's not that bad. Thanks to people like the sad saint of the East End.
Who?
Sean Hampton, our own private holy figure. Few are foolish enough to make peace with the gangs. Sean is one of them.
How is it you can keep this place open? This part of town doesn't seem particularly safe.
Well, since everybody needs a drink, my pub is considered neutral ground by most groups.
I see. So you get pressure from all sides about how this place should be run, do you?
Well, something like that. Nothing that a few wise words and a bottle of gin can't solve.
You're something of a figurehead around here.
I'm only pouring alcohol for everyone to forget their troubles. Sean Hampton is the one giving them long-term hope.
Since I'm here, is there anything I can do?
Well, perhaps, Doctor. Peace partly depends on my stock of gin. And with the epidemic, my supplies are running low.
How could a physician help you in this matter?
I have a small warehouse just past the quarantine line. Perhaps, with you being a doctor, you could go there and come back?
Doctors aren't immune to disease, you know. Very well. Show me where it is. I'll see what I can do.
Oh, thank you, sir. Here's the key to get in. You're about to save many dry throats.
Why does your waitress feel in danger working on the docks?
This part of town is dangerous for all, but for women it's worse, as always. Sabrina is a brave girl, but she can't help feeling in danger.
Do you think she has good reason to feel this way? Are you not worried about her safety?
Of course I am. The truth is, she's tougher than me deep inside. She just has to learn to control it.
Tom, I need to find Sean Hampton as quickly as possible. I've been told you could help me.
I heard the sad saint was recovering at Pembroke Hospital. Did he leave or something?
I believe he returned to his flock. Can you confirm that?
Oh, I bet you're right. Sean can't help but worry about the poor and sick. Oh, I guess it has something to do with what happened to him as a baby.
Please, tell me.
Well, I don't like to gossip, but I heard that the sad saint was abandoned as a baby in front of a Catholic orphanage in Dublin. That would explain his faith and need to help everyone.
The important thing is I find him, quickly.
Why not try his night asylum? He takes care of those who need a meal or a roof there.
Where is it?
It's in an old warehouse, northwest of here. Just follow the bank to the west and go north when you reach the end of the pier.
Goodbye, Mr. Watts.
I hope I live long enough to see them wet boot boys get what's coming to them.
Clients. What with the epidemic, no one dares go outside.
I think I'm losing my mind. I should just run as far away.
It's locked. Good evening, madam. I'm Dr. Reed. Could I come in?
Why? What do you want?
I work at the Pembroke Hospital. I'm investigating the flu epidemic in this area.
Oh, the Spanish flu. Well, that's quite liberal of you, Doctor. But this is no time to be knocking at people's doors.
The disease takes away the good people too, madam. Why not let me in?
It's Mrs. Fishburne. Stella Fishburne. And yes, indeed. Why not let a doctor in? I can't remember the last time I had a good sleep.
It's locked.
So you have questions about the flu, then?
Yes, among other things.
Forgive my rudeness at the door. It's just my son doesn't like strangers coming in the house.
How is life around here?
Life has always been hard in the East End. But it's everywhere nowadays, isn't it?
Do you think the increase in violence has...
Don't know. But it's most likely linked to the gangs, if you ask me. Recently, it's like everyone has had to pick a side.
Violence has always fed on poverty, don't you think? It's a cruel law of the human condition.
And selfishness is their rotten fruit. These days, you can just die in the gutter and no one will bat an eye.
May I ask what you do for a living, Mrs. Fishburne?
Since my husband died, I worked at the Dawson Rope Factory, but it closed before the war. I occasionally help at the night asylum, in exchange for food.
Did your husband die in the war?
Oh no, my Jack was a docker. He died when my Seymour was just a lad. The poor boy saw his dad slip and fall from that scaffolding.
How do you pay the rent, then?
My Seymour works at the docks, just like his dad. He's very attached to the house he grew up in. It's not always easy, but we get by all right.
I'm trying to locate Mr. Sean Hampton. Do you know where he could be?
You talking about the one everyone calls the Sad Saint? The man who takes care of the homeless?
The very same, Miss Fishburne.
I'm sorry. I don't know where his shelter is. But if you ask around, I'm sure you'll get your answer.
Goodbye, Miss Fishburne.
Just grow eyes in the back of that head.
Hello, boy.
Hello. Good evening.
Did I scare you? You have nothing to fear from me.
No, it's just that people prefer to avoid me.
Well, I won't. I'm a doctor.
My name is Rufus, sir. Rufus Kingsbury.
What can you tell me about this region?
It's all about staying out of trouble. But since most people prefer to avoid me, it's pretty easy.
Why do people avoid you?
They call me Rufus the Curse. Around here, I'm a bit of a bad luck charm.
Have you ever thought about leaving?
Where else would I go? At least I know these streets and some people around here. This is my city, for better or worse.
What do you do around here, Rufus?
I listen to the news on the docks, sir. And I smile at those kind enough to spare me a bob.
Do you have a job?
It's hard to work, what with my head and all. Since I was a boy, I've always had trouble remembering what I do and why I do it.
What do people say about this place?
Things have been tense between the wet boot boys and the communists. They both feel they should run the docks.
Are you alone? Where is your family?
I don't have any. My parents are dead.
So you have no home? You're sleeping rough?
No. I mean, yes. I live on the streets. I have no home.
You should be careful, Rufus. There are things that lurk in the shadows of this city. Things that prey on the lonely and the desperate.
Well, I've known worse. I'm not all alone. I have Mrs. Fishburne. She's been very kind to me.
Why do you think she's so considerate?
I can't say, sir. I guess she's a good soul. Sometimes it's like she replaces the mother I lost, even if we're not related.
Do you know a man who lives in this part of town? A man named Sean Hampton. I'm looking for him.
Sorry, sir. I don't know a lot of folks around here.
Well, I don't think you should talk to him. He may be very sick.
Thanks for the tip. You might want to check the Turquoise Turtle. It's a pub not far from here. The bar...
Do you need help?
A real doctor caring about me. That's a first. I feel like a real person.
A real doctor treats everyone the same, Rufus.
I don't know what to say. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So long, Rufus. Be careful. Take care. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Why must it always be a good evening?
I was just being polite. I'm Dr. Reed. I'd like to ask you some questions, if I may.
Don't like questions. Or doctors. And the name is Seymour Fishburne, if you must know.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
A shithole filled with maggots. Liars and thieves, all of them.
Are you thinking about someone in particular?
No. Hate them all. Especially these petty, whining little shitbag beggars.
Is there no one who deserves your leniency, then?
Well, Tom from our local is somewhat of a decent bloke. At least, unlike most maggots, he knows how to listen without opening his trap.
What's your occupation?
I take care of my mum. It's what I do. She's the only good thing in my life. Even though I don't treat her so good.
You seem upset. Is something bothering you?
I lost the necklace I bought her. I'm a fucking idiot. A worthless idiot.
Sometimes it's hard to be a good son.
I just want her to smile. No, I was thankful for her patience, appreciated like... God knows she deserves it.
Any chance you can help me find Sean Hampton?
The sad saint. Why would you talk to that cunt?
Actually, that's confidential.
Really? Well, go ask someone else then. I'm sure Tom Watts will gladly answer you.
Goodbye, Mr. Fishburne. Good evening.
Yeah.
Do you require...
That's something I didn't expect to hear again. A doctor concerned with the health of his patients. Yeah.
I don't know which kind of doctor you're used to dealing with, but it's a doctor's purpose to heal people.
And is it your purpose as well, Mr. Reed? I would say it's a convenient way for gaining people's trust.
Goodbye, Mr. Fishburne. Good evening, Mrs. Fishburne.
Of course. I'm not sure the epidemic is what worries me. What can I do?
The orphan that regards you as a mother. Please tell me about him, Stella.
You mean Rufus? I wish I could do even more for the poor boy. Most people are so selfish.
But you're not.
Years may have passed, but I haven't forgotten how it feels to go through days with nothing but an empty stomach.
Goodbye, Miss Fishburne.
Maggots and liars. To every night a darkness, and every dawn another death.